It's Thursday. Welcome, Jesticles, to the stream. We are doing things here in the RV because it's not as good as a view as it was on Monday, but that's okay. So welcome, share the stream, all that good stuff, particularly on Facebook because I'm not on Facebook anymore. But share it in Discord, share it all the places. Beep boop. Welcome. Theo, welcome Wrench, Bio, welcome to the stream. But yeah, as the title says, I would like to talk about what happened to Emazing lights. Not really a whole lot of people have put out too much information on it. So if anyone has any questions about it, if you have specific questions about it, let me know. But other than that, I just kind of want to talk about what their downfall, what happened to them. Let's play some music here, though. Maybe it's not the best idea to play music over this. Who owns the intellectual property? What a good question. I think at this point the patents revert to whatever company still exists. So technically, Emazing exists in the form of IRAs. So they technically still have the patents, but they don't have the money or the care to go after anyone who does anything with it. So the answer is whoever wants. Can OSMs come back? Yeah, these are OSMs now. These are OSMs as far as we're concerned. Will OSM ever come back in terms of that specific company? Probably not. I think that guy is done out. Do you think Shark Tank was a bad play? I think Shark Tank gave Emazing more bad press than they got out of it, than anything. It was definitely not worth what it was not. Was it a bad play? I think it was a bad play. I don't think we ended up getting too much out of it that was valuable. Would you happen to have a way for me to fall into the Chroma firmware? No. Except that if you have the ability to connect, to the chips, you might be able to rip the firmware from there. Not sure how that works. But essentially, yeah, the beginning and the end was the Shark Tank play. The Shark Tank play was absolutely the beginning of the end. What ended up happening was a lot of people saw that as in the hub and the phone code come out. What do you mean? A lot of people saw Shark Tank as a ploy for him to get more money, a ploy for him to sell Gloving out more than he so quote unquote already had sold out. But what's interesting to me is we didn't get anything out of it. He made a deal with one of the sharks. I believe he made a deal with Mark Cuban, and Mark Cuban didn't give him I never saw any influx of revenue, never saw any influx of help. There was literally no benefit to going on Shark Tank other than saying they've been on Shark Tank. Music gets a hair too loud for chatting. I'm just going to turn the music off until I'm done talking about this stuff. Were you on before Shark Tank? Yeah, I got sponsored. What's actually crazy is I got sponsored the month of Shark Tank. So Shark Tank was really the beginning of the end, but there was so much that happened between when Shark Tank was February of 2015, I believe. Let me double check that number. Emazing lights, Shark Tank. Yeah, July 6th, 2015. Okay, so I had been sponsored for 4 months by the time Shark Tank came out. So there was some time for some stuff to happen. Wait, did they say 2016 or 2015? Close to that. 2015. Yeah. Okay, so I had been sponsored for a little bit. I had really thought that it was going to be the beginning of the beginning, because we were just officially gotten all this public support, mainstream support, when in reality Mark Cuban didn't do anything for the company. Not anything public, not anything noticeable. So really the true start of the end wasn't so much that Shark Tank did anything negative. It was that Shark Tank didn't provide anything positive that it was supposed to, and then the thing that happened that was negative was the huge OSM debacle that came basically not even 6 months after that. So OSM happened. They tried to release a light. Emazing said no. There was a whole what's the word I'm looking for? Lawsuit that happened, and that was the true start to the end of times, as it were. Oh, I forgot about my background. Let's get my background back in here. What's up, background? And was there a golden time where it was dope for a bit internally? Yeah, I mean, realistically, it was very cool to be an Emazing sponsor, even up until, they just died. Granted, in the last few years, there wasn't really much to speak of, and they didn't listen to me, so that's, cool. But realistically, Emazing provided a lot of opportunities for me. They sent me to a lot of different places, gave me tickets, gave me, commissions, and free gear, and all this stuff that provided me with an incentive to keep doing what I was doing for a long period of time. I think what's crazy to me is, unfortunately, they just hemorrhaged resources out to people who didn't deserve them, I hate to say it. There was a lot of different programs out there where they were providing glovers and community members and all these people different free gear and free whites and free batteries and different ways to earn Emazing love. And the fact of the matter is even without earning that Emazing love, Emazing still managed to find funding to give away this shit for free. That shit they should have they should have realistically been selling wholesale instead of giving it away for free. It's kind of insane, really. They hemorrhaged resources for a long period of time on programs that didn't provide any return on investment whatsoever. Would you say that there was more of an ego issue or a skill in running a business problem? I think, that's an interesting question. It's so easy to sit from an outside perspective and say, "Oh, well, it was the business. It was the people running the business who did it." The fact of the matter is they built a company off of virality, off of a viral trending product, and when the virality of this product dried up, they had to use influencers in order to keep it alive. And the virality of those influencers would come and go, as it were, and the longevity of those influencers would come and go, as it were. But by the time, it really was it was the people putting the effort into this gloving hobby that kept it alive for so long. And without some kind of actual way to monetize and give glovers a long-term goal to strive to, they just fall off. And so with that, combined with the fact that, it is a trend that had its peak, and will go and probably will come back again, because that's what trends do, in tandem with the fact that now everything has lights on it. So the novel aspect of seeing someone with gloves with lights on their hands is gone, because you see someone with lights on their hands, and instead of saying, "Oh, what's that? That's cool. That's a good idea," you see someone with gloves on their hands and say, "Oh yeah, that's about right," because there's LED lights on literally everything. There's LED lights in the toilet, in the sink, everywhere. On your toothbrush, there's LEDs everywhere. So it's like, that craziness aspect is a little bit gone. So the virality aspect is a little bit gone, which means that people have to do more work in order to keep this into the public eye and keep it interesting. And again, there's a shelf life on how long people will be active in gloving without some sort of external motivation keeping them interested. So all of those things combine, along with gloving or emazing, hemorrhaging resources for X number of reasons, that came together and was a perfect storm. And then, of course, COVID happened. And people stopped going to raves, which was the last ditch connection Emazing had to selling light show accoutrements. Now, at the very beginning, sure, maybe people saw a little bit of bump in buying gloving because people are stuck at home. And what are they going to do? They're going to wiggle their fingers. Sure, fine, but that didn't last very long, because COVID, unfortunately, did last very long. They launched a store in 90 seconds out of my back door. Yeah, we miss those days, Dave. We do. Would you say there was an ego? Yeah, we answer that. With the virality push, was there a lot of manufactured hype? I mean, looking back, I think there was a lot of, I think I romanticized the hype that it had. Looking back at some of the videos that really, really influenced me and really inspired me to be gloving and doing all the stuff, they had like 3,000 or 4,000 views on YouTube, which is just not ridiculously small. And it's like, wait a minute, none of these videos were that popular ever. You go back and you look at the viral gloving videos, and there's maybe 20 or more videos on almost any platform that has more than 100,000 views on it. COVID-19 again right now, Dave. Well, keep breathing, my guy. We wish you well to get better. But yeah, I mean, there's with the invention of TikTok, or with the advent of TikTok, I'm sure there's a lot more viral gloving videos now. But like the YouTube days, there's not that many that had millions of views, and that's what they were basing their story around. That's what they were basing their business around, was that virality. And I don't know, the thing about hype is you have to manufacture it. If you don't build hype, if you don't show people what cool things there is to be excited about, then there's no hype. So that's one of the things. What was one of the early ideas that you had, would have liked to see implemented? I think there's two things that would have saved Emazing early on. What's funny is they took my idea 4 years later and then never actually did the best idea they should have done, which was all over print designed clothing. Back in 2014 when I was there, not even sponsored, I was telling them they should do all over print joggers and put a dank head all over print jogger pair of pants out, and they never did that, and I was mad. I want those pants. The early idea that would have absolutely saved them, unfortunately, the Spectra and the OSM debacle kind of killed that momentum and killed the idea for it. But the idea that I had was to put out easy lights that were essentially sponsor variants of easy lights. Put those versions of the lights out on sponsors' birthdays, give them a cut of the sales because their name's on it, and make a limited edition. So they have X amount of sponsors, 10 sponsors, so that's 10 sales throughout the year, where you'd sell an pair of easy lights. Those easy lights have 20 colors, all 20 colors picked by the sponsor, has 3 modes, all 3 modes picked by the sponsor, and they would make the defaults, and then you sell those, and you sell a limited amount of them. And I think it's the stupidest thing in the world that they didn't take advantage of their celebrities. They gave us kind of this celebrity status in the community, and then never took advantage of the name that they built for us. And I suppose it's kind of silly to think that they should have taken advantage of the name they built for us more than we should have taken advantage of the name they built for us. But there's so many elements there. There's so many opportunities there to do something with your sponsors that, I don't know. I think the sponsor gloves would have been the big hit that would have saved them. Imagine them selling 25 sets of lights 10 times a year, guaranteed, because limited edition. Literally, is collector stuff. Oh, you got those Jest Force ones? Come on, buddy. You got the Flow V2s. Oh wait, no, they put out a bad pair of lights called the Flows. Never mind. Jest Force ones. Yeah, maybe one day we'll make our own set of easy lights. Call them the Jest Force ones. Nah, if I released a pair of lights, I'd call them the Jestables. Adjustable lights, something like that. They could have. They really had an opportunity, and they bunked it. They bungled it. Tragic, really, but what can you do? So, anyways, now what do you do? Now what are you supposed to do now that Emazing Lights is gone? Were sponsorships harder to get back then? Honestly, the sponsorships got harder and harder and harder to get as the years went on. I got the sponsorship when it was probably, I wouldn't say the easiest, because it was always very difficult to get a sponsorship. But I got the sponsorship before a lot of things became harder. I actually got the sponsorship before an influx of a lot of people, so it's very possible that I got it at the easiest time, but it was never easy, and with the influx of a ton of people, it became harder and harder and harder to stand out as a sponsor, so you had to do more. So, catch-22 there. Is there someone that you should have been sponsored but didn't get it? Yes. You know, nobody that I can think of, like super deserved a sponsorship and never got one. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that was just like ripe and then just overlooked. Emazing had a very good tendency to pick out the people who were actually good and active in the community on a consistent basis. That being said, they didn't see everyone, and sometimes someone deserved to be sponsored for a while and then didn't get it until the best example of someone who wasn't sponsored for a long time who should have been was Materia. Materia got sponsored really, really late, considering all the things that happened. Materia should have been sponsored earlier, no question in my mind. He's probably the only one I can think of that would really fall into that category. But yeah, it's good that they recognized for the most part what was going on in the community. They had an ear to the ground for the most part. And that's another one of the things that kind of killed them, is they stopped having their ear to the ground. They took away their lines of communication with the community. Their glovers inside the company stopped working for them. Their faces that the community liked and respected stopped working for them and started having bad things to say about them. All of those things kind of came together and created this perfect storm of Emazing dead. But yeah, that's pain. Pain is correct. Pain is correct. How do you feel about the horizon currently? There's a couple of people out there doing what needs to be done. The thing is without saying anything definitively, there's no like standard glove set on the market right now. All of the typical glove sets, Emazing's dead. Futuristic Lights hasn't been selling lights for a while. LED gloves. The VORTEX glove set is a thing, but obviously it's a wired glove set, and that's an acquired taste. VORTEX might be producing something soon that could change things. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say on that front. Stream coming soon, maybe. Who knows? Ultimately, there is a market still for glovers, or for gloves, for gloving, and not too many people are actually doing anything to fill that, to meet that market. So the question is, you know, who wants to provide the community with something and give someone to be something to be hype about? UGC is cool. That's happening this year. So catch me at UGC doing community things in real life again. That's one of the biggest things, is there needs to be in real life events to keep people interested in gloving. Otherwise, people are not going to be interested in gloving. Are you going to compete? The answer is absolutely the fuck yes, I am going to compete. Anything that I do not have a hand in participating in, I would love to compete in, because your boy does not get enough action. So back up, how did EVL keep their ears to the ground in the beginning? In the beginning, up until about 2017, 2018, they had, even until 2019, they had glovers working in the company that would participate in the company. And in the later days, it was, Wheat and Ninetales who were doing it. But they weren't enough, unfortunately. They did a good job for what they could do, but they weren't enough. In the early days, there was Teddy, there was Mimic, there was Cypher, there was Sam, there was a bunch of people internally in the company who loved gloving, who did gloving, who were good at gloving, who were names in the community, and actually cared about what the gloving had to say. But ultimately, later in the time period, after Skittles was let go because they couldn't afford couldn't afford him, unfortunately. Once he was let go, they really stopped paying too much attention to what the gloving community wanted, and did what they thought would be profitable, and ultimately it was not profitable. So, bye-bye. They died. Was the studio as cool as I imagined it was? Yes, it was cooler. There's this little wooden room in the back of the warehouse where you'd go in and it became a different world. It was dark and it had this big wall that you would kneel in front of and they'd light up, and it was cool as fuck. It was very, very cool, that's for sure. It felt, they had a way of making it feel bigger than it was, that's for sure. That is for sure. That was part of the allure of it, was it looked bigger than it was. But yeah, what do you do next? What do you do now that Emazing's gone? Well, you can buy gloves from YouGotMoves.com. There's whites there. Lights will be a questionable topic until another company comes out and produces something that is, easy light quality or better. But yeah, just keep an eye out for gloving community stuff, because it won't die, it won't go away. There's still people like wiggling their fingers, that's for sure. I think it might be time for some music and some finger wiggles. Do you think a gloving venue would work? Or do you think it looks more like a glove club that allows gloving? There wouldn't a gloving venue in the same sense of like a dance studio could be something that happens, but it would be like the Emazing store in Minneapolis. The Emazing store in Minneapolis was a gloving venue, more or less, and it worked for a while, but the problems with it were more along the lines of the ownership. So it could happen. It's just a matter of, I think you'd also have to make it like a flow arts studio in general, because money, trying to find enough people in one area to support such a thing is always going to be a difficult endeavor. requests, any ideas, suggestions, requestions, ingestions?
Wake the fuck up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
Yeah, you like that, Dave? Front and backwards at the same time? Here's an idea. Concept. Close out with a song. Yeah, you might not. Maybe because my computer still thinks it's too late. It still thinks it's in Midwest time. So, Yeah, I'll fix that. I'll look into it. I like that song. Meows and all. What is it called? Isolate Crystal? No, Quantum Dog. Quantum Dog, Tunnel Cat. What a good song. I like that. y'all. Thanks for tuning in on this fine Thursday, on this edition of the Jest stream that there is. As usual, I'll be back next Thursday. Same time, same place. 7 p.m. Pacific time nowadays, because, you know, that's where I am. Always 7 p.m. in the time zone that I am currently, because, you know, my house moves. So who knows where I will be next. And by who knows, I mean I know where I'll be next. I'll be here next week in Pacific time. So 7 p.m. Pacific time next week, next Thursday. Catch you then. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, it's better to be weird than boring.